Hello, my name is Joseph B. Harris. I'm a counselor. I was a counselor for 45 years in New York, studying the drug addicted mind. I have a bachelor's degree in counseling, all the psych courses, general psych, developmental psych, abnormal psych I took. And I have a history of 12 and a half years of intravenous heroin and daily alcohol abuse, along with other pills and cocaine as well. That stopped 46 years ago. I'm also an author of 3 books. My first book, Escape from Critical Confusion, is a autobiographical textbook about how drug addiction starts and also how to beat it. That whole life from a reality perspective, not just, something that someone taught me, but actually living it and learning how to come out of it. My second book is Black America Breaking the Code. And my third book is Drug Addiction, the Most Powerful Enemy Against It, A Recovering Sober Mind. And this is the book that I'm going to focus on today. As we know, and I mentioned it in some of my other sessions, that drug addiction is destroying millions of Americans. We're not just talking about a few people. We're talking about millions of Americans, and a lot of young people are succumbing to drug addiction. So, we talked about in one of the session stages of regression, we talked about detox, we talked about rehab, the necessity for any drug addicted person to be able to overcome drug addiction. You must cleanse the body and mind of all of the poison chemicals and plants. So we try to keep that in mind. Those of you who are out there who have an addiction problem, you're actively abusing drugs, remember, you must be detoxified first. And I know how people think. They're out there getting high every day, and life is just so horrible. And you say to yourself, man, I gotta get help. I gotta change. And you keep saying it, but not really doing anything. Then you get arrested, you go to jail, you get a little stronger, you come back out, you start hanging out with the fellas and girls again, and start using again. So the best way to beat this fella is to become detoxified first. That's one of the keys. I must cleanse my body and mind first and go to rehab. Not just be detoxified, but also go to rehab. Because once I become detoxified, I'm still unstable mentally and physically. And my brain is telling me to go use. That's how it usually works. I mean, some people are able to go to detox and come out and stay sober for the rest of their life. But most people, I would say about 98% or even higher, maybe 99, that just go into detox and go right back out, it's going to be very difficult for you to stay sober. You can do it, but it'll be very difficult. So you have to be driven, because all of those thoughts that the drugs has conditioned your mind to think about and trained it to think about is going to be popping up in your head. So the best thing to do, go to detox and rehab. If you feel that you can't do rehab, you must go to outpatient treatment, where there's counselors and social workers and psychiatrists who can help you with your journey towards stabilizing your recovery. Recovery is a process. Part of the process means step by step. So the first step is detox. The second step is rehab or outpatient, halfway house, long term, So we want to do that first step, that second step, and then you want to stabilize your recovery. But it takes time. Nobody's going to be abusing themselves with, heroin, alcohol, benzos, methamphetamine for 3, 4, 5 years and expect for everything to be cleaned up in 3 or 4 months. And this is where the struggle comes in. Keep your focus on struggle, never giving up. Struggle brings power. It doesn't weaken you. So when you're going through those mood swings, depression, guilt, shame, anger, frustration, doing everything right and feel frustrated, it's all symptoms of healing from addiction. That's part of one of those steps towards stabilizing your recovery. So we want to keep that in mind. Today, I want to talk about self-concept. Part of self-concept means how I see myself. Am I smart? Am I foolish? Am I good? Am I bad? How other people see me? As we know, before we started using drugs, we had a good self-concept. Most people have a good self-concept. They see themselves as doing the right thing, taking care of their responsibilities, not doing anything to put themselves in a dangerous, deadly situation, just trying to live with all of the qualities of a healthy human being. What happens when we become addicted to drugs? How does that change? How does my self-concept change? One of the ways it's going to change is through your attitude that the drug addiction gives you. Part of attitude means how I feel about my health, how I feel about my life, how I feel about my freedom, how I feel about my role as a man or woman, a mother or father. So part of attitude means how you feel about something. So before I started using drugs, I cared about my life. I cared about my freedom. I was very careful about how I function in life. But as the drugs started to train my brain how to think, and in my book, I go much more in depth about this discussion. As I continue to use drugs, the drugs are going to train me how to think about my life. Do I really care about my life? Is this important to me? And if it is, why am I injecting 15 bags, 20 bags a day of heroin into my veins every day? Fentanyl and all the other chemicals that the drug dealer puts in there. Why am I smoking methamphetamine and allowing this drug to just damage my brain and my heart and my kidneys and my lungs? Why am I doing these? Why am I drinking a liter of alcohol a day if I really care about my life? If I really care about my health? So as the drugs train our mind from a normal thinking human being to a drug addicted thinking human being, that's how that self-concept changes. How things that I would never do before: steal from my mother, steal from my job, neglect my children, neglect my wife. I remember in 1975, I was working for a drug program, closed. So I became an emergency medical technician for the state of New York, an EMT. And some of the people knew that my history was really a counselor. And I picked up this woman one day and she said, Joe, she said, I heard you were a counselor. I said, I'm really a counselor. It's just a temporary job. She said, my daughter was on heroin and I had to take the kids. Otherwise, Child Protective Services was going to put them up for adoption. Kids were like 3 and 4 years old. She said her daughter would leave the kids in the house for days with no food. This is your child. She said when she got the kids in her custody, it took her months to stop the kids from drinking water out of the toilet bowl. Can you imagine leaving your children in such bad situations that they don't even have water, let alone food? So a normal thinking woman would never do that. But when that brain becomes full-blown addicted and the drugs have authority over your brain, the power over your brain, it will determine what you're going to do. This is not you. This is drug-induced behavior. And we need to understand that I am not a bad person, but when I drug my brain, my behavior comes out bad. I had a patient at Good Samaritan Hospital in New York, and we were in men's group. And he said, I'm really a good person, man. He said, but when I take that heroin and shoot it into my veins, I automatically pick up a gun because I'm going to get that money. The drug had so much power over his brain at that time that he always picks up a gun and goes out and pulls armed robbery, sticks people up in the street, whoever to get money for the pimp, the drug dealer. So all of this money that he's getting, he's giving it away. Also unnatural for a human being, especially Americans, for us to just give away money. We don't usually do that. But if my brain is drugged, and I've had patients say to me that they spend $200 a day on heroin, $200 a day on crack, $300 a day on crack. You're talking about $9,000 a month, $6,000 a month. If I'm spending $100 a day, $3,000 a month, that I'm giving away, this is not normal thinking. But if I'm addicted to drugs and my self-concept has changed because I'm behaving in this way, it makes me feel like there's no hope. A lot of times a drug addicted person will say once again, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I lost my kids. I can't believe I've been in prison. A moment of sanity. So we want to nurture that self-concept. And the only way to nurture that self-concept is doing things that make us feel good about ourselves. One of the ways that I'm going to feel good about myself is refusing to cooperate with relapse. Any relapse, I'm not cooperating with. And when I show myself that I can refuse to cooperate, that's going to strengthen my self-concept. That's going to strengthen my motivation to continue working on staying sober. But as long as I give up, as long as I'm willing to give up on myself, I will remain addicted for a long, long time. So we don't want to do that. And in the book, once again, Drug Addiction, the most powerful and the most powerful enemy against it, A Recovering Sober Mind. You can purchase it on my website, jharris.westwoodbooks with an S, publishing.com. jharris.westwoodbookspublishing.com. You can also get it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. So we want to remember that the way that you see yourself as a full-blown drug-addicted person, that's an image of who you really are. That's not who you really are. But the drug-induced thinking and the drug-induced behavior cause you to behave in that way. And as I promised, I'm going to read one of my notes each time I come online. I'm going to read one of my notes as a matter of fact, eventually I'm going to write a book on all of these notes. A lot of this stuff is in the book too. But the way to really understand all of this stuff is to get the book, Drug Addiction and the Most Powerful Enemy Against It, A Recovering Sober Mind by Joseph B. Harris. It's one of my notes from October 2018. When you internalize your pain, you don't have room in the mind for recovery thinking. This keeps you in a state of mind where you can understand the pain, but not able to search for solutions to cope with it. This is one of the reasons why the recovering person must keep their concern on struggle and a combat frame of mind. Self-pity has no place in the recovering mind. And when we get to that point where we're full blown and our life is torn apart and we're sleeping in abandoned buildings or cars or whatever, and we're looking at how bad we feel, we're not looking for solutions. When that mind is made up that I've had enough punishment, I've had enough torture, I've had enough disgrace, I've had enough guilt and shame, I've had enough depression from the way drugs is treating me, I got to start focusing on solutions. And the first step, remember, recovery is a process, step by step. But also part of the process means many changes. So the first step is to go into detox. That is the first step, detox. So we want to do that and follow up with further treatment. There's millions of dollars out there to help the drug addicted person. Even though the insurance companies are holding us back from doing the work that we need to do, you can take that first step. You go to detox. So when I go to detox, in detox, more than likely, I will find a way to get insurance to help me continue to go to rehab or the outpatient treatment. All right. So remember, subscribe to my channel, pick up the book, and keep recovery alive. This is your life, not addiction's life. It's not heroin's life. It's not crack's life. It's not methamphetamine's life. This is your life. You only live once. And every second brings you closer and closer to the grave. So if we did not get anything helpful to us out of these moments that I've been speaking, those moments are moments closer to the grave. You don't want to live another year, 2 years in the condition that you end with drug addiction. So my hope and my prayer is that you continue the struggle and fight drug addiction until you make it powerless in your life. And always remember, you're not in this alone. There's help, counselors, social workers, psychiatrists, and most of all, God, the greatest power ever known to mankind, is with you, working with you in this battle against drug addiction. So I'll be talking to you soon again. Remember, you can purchase the book at jharris.westwoodbooks with an S publishing.com. jharris.westwoodbookspublishing.com. Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Hopefully I'll be talking to you soon. God bless.